Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from group 3. Today we will present about evaluating learner achievement. Before we go to the material, let me introduce my team. We have 3 members. The first member, me, Firda Veronica, and the second member, Lutvia, and the last member, Kalisha. Okay, we go to the explanation. First, evaluation, assessment, and measurement. Assessment refers to procedures or techniques used to obtain data about a learner or product. Measurement refers to the data collected, which are typically expressed quantitatively. The physical devices that are used to collect the data are referred to as instruments, rating scale forms, observation sheets, checklists, and objective tests. Evaluation refers to the process for determining the success level of an individual or product based on data and then making decisions based on this success level. The purpose of evaluation. Evaluation is used to determine the success level of something. This something is typically an individual or a product, such as a lesson, project, or program. Although a process can also be evaluated. The goal of learner evaluation. A learner evaluation helps determine the level of performance or achievement that an individual has attained as a result of instruction. This is established by the extent to which a learner is able to meet instructional goals and objectives. Developing learner evaluation. The development of learner evaluation begins with examining the instructional goals and objectives that were created as a result of the needs and text analysis. An instructional designer examines the instructional goals and objectives to determine what change the instruction is meant to bring about. Validity and reliability. Content validity is similar to face validity. However, what is being determined with content validity is the extent to which the specific intended domain of content is addressed in the evaluation. And reliability is the extent to which a learner evaluation will provide similar result when conducted on multiplication. Criterion reference and norm reference simplified. A learner evaluation that is a criterion reference indicates that a learner is being judged based on his or her level of competence. Competence is determined by specific criteria, such as being able to answer a specific number of questions or the ability to demonstrate a certain skill in a specific amount of time. And a learner evaluation that is a norm reference indicates that the result of the evaluation are being used to compare or rank learners. They are numbers, norm reference examination that as a student you are familiar with. And starting with the instructional objectives. The learner evaluation should be derived from the instructional objectives. There need to be direct relationship between the instructional objectives and learner evaluation. If there is the learner evaluation will be authentic. In other words, the learner evaluation will help the instructor and instructional designer determine if a learner has or has not meet the intended instructional outcomes. A change in knowledge. Knowledge is such an important element in all fields. Being able to determine the level of knowledge a learner has is a critical part of instruction. Determining a learner's knowledge level and whether it has changed as a result of instruction is typically done through the use of either an objective or construct response test. Test development plan. This plan will help guide the development and eventual implementation of the test. 1. What is the purpose of the test? 2. Who will be taking the test? And 3. How much time will be used for testing? 4. What will the test cover? And 5. What sort of content will be used? 6. What are the dimensions of the content? And the last, which types of item formats are to be used? Developing objective test item. The knowledge that is a test with a true or false item is limited to factual information. The knowledge and comprehension level of Bloom's taxonomy. The use of true or false item should be kept to a minimum because it's difficult, if not impossible, to determine whether a learner knew the correct response or with it a learner has a 50% chance of guessing the correct answer. Guidelines for true or false item. First, use them sparingly if at all. 2. They should be completely true or completely false. 3. They should be restricted to only one tag or idea. 4. They should not need additional qualification or clarification to answer. And the last, avoid a negatively worded item. Okay, I think enough explanation by me. The next material will be presented by Lutfia.
Okay, the next point, there is multiple choice items. Multiple choice items are considered to be the most useful items used in objective tests, unlike true or false items. Multiple choice items can be used to judge higher level thinking, such as application and analysis. And guidelines for multiple choice items. Number 1, the content should be meaningful and not deal with trivial information. This can be accomplished by relating the item directly to an instructional objective. Number 2, the term should be clearly written and should only include enough information to allow the learner to understand the item. Number 3, the stem should be a question ending with a question mark or a statement that with a colon. And the last, there is teach to for alternative. And guidelines for short answer items. Number 1, there is a direct question is preferable to a statement. Number 2, the question should be written so the response is as brief as possible. This allows the scoring of the question to be more objective. The next, construct response tests. Construct response tests are considered to be subjective tests and are therefore generally more difficult to score. The major item used in construct response tests is the easy. This type of question allows for higher levels of cognition. Example, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation to be assessed. And evaluation. The next, essay items. Essay question can provide insight into the understanding a learner has on the content that was taught. Additionally, insight can be gained on how well a learner writes. Next, there is a change in skill. Evaluating whether a learner has had a change in skill is done through examining actions or behaviors that can be directly observed. This is often called performance assessment. Typically, what is being examined is a learner's ability to perform a particular task or series of related tasks that make up a particular skill. Evaluating a learner's change in skill is accomplished by using a variety of assessment techniques, such as direct testing, performance ratings, observation, and anecdotal records and portfolio. The next, direct testing. The process or processes of how the learner performed the skill can be evaluated. This can provide important information about areas in which a learner needs improvement. Next, performance ratings. The focus of a performance rating is on a learner's ability to perform certain action, not on the product, as it is with direct testing. Although this is the case, the product resulting from the action complete during a performance rating is also evaluated often in terms of both quantity and quality. When developing a rating scale, it is important to pilot test the scale with several learners from the target group, or those who closely resemble the target group, to determine how the rating scale will work. Next, observation and anecdotal records. It is important to understand that using observation and anecdotal record can be time-consuming, especially when the number of learners that need to be observed is large. In addition to the time involved, subjectivity can also be an issue. The next, direct testing. The process or processes of how the learner performed the skill can be evaluated. This can provide important information about areas in which a learner needs improvement. Next, performance ratings. The focus of a performance rating is on a learner's ability to perform certain action, not on the product, as it is with direct testing. Although this is the case, the product resulting from the action complete during a performance rating is also evaluated often in terms of both quantity and quality. When developing a rating scale, it is important to pilot test the scale with several learners from the target group, or those who closely resemble the target group, to determine how the rating scale will work. Next, observation and anecdotal records. It is important to understand that using observation and anecdotal record can be time-consuming, especially when the number of learners that need to be observed is large. In addition to the time involved, subjectivity can also be an issue. Next, portfolio. A portfolio is meant to show the progressing of learning that has taken place. It can directly indicate how well the learner is applying skills learned during instruction by indicating areas of strength and weakness. The goal is to produce richer and more valid assessment of student competence than possible from traditional testing. Next, rubrics. A rubric is an assessment instrument that is used to evaluate a learner based on the learner's performance of specific of specific criteria. Specifically, a rubric is a print set of scoring guidelines or criteria that is used to evaluate a learner's performance or product. Rubric can be used with knowledge, skill, and attitude-related instructional objectives. When a rubric is used to evaluate a learner, he or she is provided with an overall score based on how well the learners performed on the entire mixture of criteria. And the last material, a change in attitude. Attitudes are based on feelings, emotion, and perception, which are highly subjective, often subtle, and are very difficult to evaluate directly. A learner's attitude is typically evaluated by examining his or her behaviors and what he or she says. Okay, the next material will be presented by Kalisha.
Observation and anecdotal record. An instructor observes a learner in authentic environment and writes notes about what the instructor observed as it relates to effective outcome. Next, survey and questionnaires. Survey and questionnaires generally include two types of items, like open-end question, where a learner writes answer to the question, and question with fixed response, where a learner chooses the answer that best indicates his or her opinion. Open-end question can provide data that require a significant amount of time to analyze. However, the data provided may be highly informative and insightful about a learner. Questions with fixed response are easier and quicker to analyze. However, they don't provide the same level of depth that open-end questions provide. Next, self-reporting inventories. A self-reporting inventories generally consists of a series of structured questions or statements that are to be answered with yes or no. Like, I usually turn in my homework on time. And then, finishing high school is important to me. Next, an interview. An interview can provide an opportunity for a wide range of topics to be discussed. It can also be a useful technique for allowing a learner to clarify and expand on answers given through other assessment techniques. Because of the potential for increased amount of data to be collected, interview can take significant amount of the time to analyze. Next, learner evaluation and a change in attitude. When conducting a learner evaluation to determine a change in attitude, there are problems that can occur. These problems are related to response learner provide on rating scales, survey, questionnaires, and self-reporting inventories, and during interview. The most common problems are social desirability response, self-deception, and semantic problem. Next, conducting a learner evaluation. A common mistake is to think that learner evaluation is performed at the end of instruction, although this is an appropriate time to do so. There are additional time that a learner can be evaluated. Next, pre-instruction. This evaluation will not determine how well a learner has done, but it can help to determine how well a learner will do. By understanding what a learner knows about objective and content, the instructor will be able to make adjustment to the instruction that will help the learner to be successful and satisfied. Next, during instruction. Evaluation during instruction provides data that indicate how a learner is progressing. There are numerous assessment activities that can be used during instruction. Many of these can be done quickly and without a great deal of advanced preparation. Next, post-instruction, a common assessment technique used during a post-instruction evaluation to determine a change in knowledge is paper and pencil test, an objective or constructor response type test. Determining change in a skill is done through a performance assessment where both the process and product are evaluated. Next, formative and summative evaluation. Formative and summative evaluation do not specifically deal with learner evaluation. It is important to note that learner evaluation can be formative and summative in its approach. Learner evaluation can take place at different times during instruction, typically prior to instruction, during instruction, and after instruction has been completed. Next, brain-based assessment. Brain-based assessment often consists of various instruments. This plan of action should include these following elements, like analyze the instructional goals and objectives, determine intended learning outcomes, and then based on instructional objective and learning outcome, determine the appropriate time of learner evaluation needed. And then design and develop the appropriate assessment technique that will be used to gather data about the learner, and then assist as necessary in the implementation of the assessment technique. That this can be include analyzing data, determining is the learner have been successful in deciding what step need to take place based on the result of data analysis. Next is evaluating learner achievement and the instructional design process. Evaluation is a process for determining the success of an individual product and process. Evaluating learner achievement helps to determine if the invention created and implemented is successful in meeting the specific learning goals and subjectives set out for the learner. As an instructional designer, you should be able to answer the following question as you approach evaluating learner achievement, like, what are the goals and objectives of the intervention? Next, what data need to be gathered and administered to a learner over a period of time? The instrument allows for multiple measurements to be taken that can provide a holistic picture of a learner achievement. This is often accomplished through the creation of portfolio that includes artifacts that demonstrate student achievement and growth in learning. Next, a successful learning evaluation. A successful learning evaluation is one that provides adequate data that help those involved in the instructional intervention make decisions about what took place and what should subsequently be done. Generally, what is being established by look at the data, whether a learner was able meet instructional objective and to what degree. The instructional designer role. The role of an instructional designer is to help create and execute plan of action to design, develop, and implement an efficient and effective learner evaluation. An efficient and effective learner evaluation is one that provide appropriate data that help determine the success level an individual has achieved a result of instruction. This plan of action should include these following elements, like analyze